What are some of the considerations when deciding whether to intervene when as an off-duty officer or as a civilian? You know, I've seen this debated a lot. I've actually seen some well-known writers and trainers of law enforcement say the idea of being a good witness is the same thing as being a coward. I'm not so sure.
No, we had an incident, and I won't name agencies or specific locations, but it was in Southern Cal, where an off-duty deputy took action in a fast food restaurant, in a popular touristy fast food restaurant, where he had gotten himself, in a position of advantage. Bad guy spun around and overshot him, and killed a small kid that was behind him. There's a lot of things that are going on, and to evaluate the totality of what's happening or what could potentially happen, the intended, the unintended consequences, I think is something that everybody needs to think about.
Was that the McDonald's restaurant?
That was the McDonald's restaurant.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the missing link in private citizens training. Oftentimes they're armed, they take a CCW course, maybe even they take some shooting courses, and maybe they even have considerable skill with their firearm. But what they tend not to have, and what they tend to need the most, is the wherewithal to decide whether or not to intervene based on the circumstances. I'll give you an example of that. You walk into a gas station that's being robbed. Obviously, if you have your child with you or someone else that you're protecting, that's a consideration. Another consideration is there another suspect that you're not aware of? And another problem could be that you intervene by saying, "Drop the gun!" And now what have you just done? Yeah. Now you've given this suspect, you've startled him, and you've given him a head start. So now, maybe if it wasn't necessarily his intent, which we would never know, to kill the clerk, your loud verbal command may prompt him to kill the clerk. Sometimes, if you make the decision that deadly force is justified, it's best to use deadly force without giving a verbal warning. And that's tough to understand tactically when that makes sense and when it doesn't.
Well, it isn't even the application sometimes. When I was back east, when I was working back east, I got asked to be a guest at this self-defense organization's meeting, and they were enacting these little walkthrough scenarios. And one of them, and I live in Arizona, so our setup for like ATM machines is different than ATM machines in New York and Boston.
Yours are hotter.
They're hotter, and there's like 4 of them, and they're outdoors. We don't have a box that you have to card yourself in and out of to get into the ATMs for most places. And the scenario was, you're in there in the middle of the night, you're getting your money out of the ATM machine, you turn around and there's a guy standing at the door with a crowbar in his hands. What are you going to do? And the overwhelming response from everybody that was there was, "I'd show him my gun." I'm thinking, why?
There goes your element of surprise.
Well, it's going to scare him off. Well, no, it's going to scare him out to your car where he's going to wait in the dark, take your money and your gun. Do you have a cell phone? Well, yeah. Well, why aren't you just calling 911 while you're inside that box? That obviously he can't get through right now.
And that said, because you're absolutely on point, but I think another aspect of this question is, what is worth intervening for?
What is your line in the sand?
You are at the scene of an active shooter situation, or you see someone trying to kidnap someone, trying to force someone at gunpoint into a car or whatever. Nothing good is going to happen to that person when they're transported to another location. So again, yeah, do you take a stand there? Are you willing to risk yourself for the greater good? As corny as that sounds, that's a real thing.
Well, let's go back to your scenario where you're walking into the gas station. Number 1, you don't own the gas station. Number 2, you don't know the guy at the gas station. Number 3, the gas station's got insurance. If you get involved in a shooting and it goes no further than just the grand jury, you're looking at somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000.
Oh, yeah.
For a gas station that you're just getting gas.
Well, even for the officer, there was a time when I first started, you had a flat badge, you had a wallet. You got told, don't intermingle the two, have a separate badge. And I got more guys now, because we ID at class. Well, it's all one the same. Well, what happens when you get in an armed robbery and you give up your badge? They know you're a police officer.
We just had that very same thing the other day. We did a segment on concealed carry, off-duty carry. And yeah, there were cops who were carrying one wallet because they're probably more concerned with being able to identify themselves. Or it could be a young cop who, when he opens his wallet at the grocery store, wants people to see the badge, to think he's cool.
Let's even put more BS on it. They're more concerned about getting a traffic ticket than being killed in a robbery.
There's some truth to that.
And there was actually a situation in Los Angeles County, I want to say back in the 90s, Deputy was with his girlfriend or wife, I don't remember which, but she was in a beauty salon, and he was just sitting there reading a magazine while she was getting her hair done. Robbery comes in. They start asking for wallets. The deputy's badge and ID is in his wallet, and he's not armed.
Case in
Guess
point.
what happened to him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gun,
Yeah.
badge, and ID are a trio. You don't have one or two without the other.
And you don't put the badge and ID the same place you put your credit cards and your money.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, yeah.
Good points. That was a good
points.
question.
Absolutely.